The twin suns of the alien world burned bright in the red sky. The city of tall crystal towers glowed in their light. Crowds of aliens walked through the shining streets, their tall bodies moving with pride and strength. Every step they took echoed power. But in that world of strength, there was one who did not belong. His name was Kyle. Kale was small, weaker than the others of his kind. His skin was pale, his eyes too large, his body too thin. While others lifted heavy stones and trained their strong muscles, Kale often stumbled when he tried to walk fast. His voice was soft. His hands shook. To the people of his world, he was a joke. Children of his age laughed at him. "You cannot even carry water without falling," they shouted. "You are a shame to our race," the elders whispered. Kale lowered his head and stayed silent. No matter how hard he tried, his body would not obey him. He was slower, weaker, and always tired, and so Kale became the outcast. One day, during the great gathering in the city square, his weakness became a cruel show. All the strong young aliens were ordered to climb the Tower of Trial, a shining wall of crystal that tested speed and strength. One by one they ran, climbed, and reached the top with proud smiles. Then it was Kale's turn. The crowd already began to laugh. "He will not even take 3 steps. Why do we waste time on him?" Kale placed his trembling hands on the crystal wall. He looked up. The sun reflected in his eyes, and for a moment he dreamed of proving them wrong. He pulled himself upward. 1 step, 2 steps. His fingers slipped. He tried again, his breath sharp. The crowd's laughter grew louder. Then he fell. His small body hit the ground with a dull sound. The crowd roared with cruel joy. "Pathetic! Useless weakling!" Kale's heart sank. He looked up at the sky and wished he could disappear. Far away, someone was watching. A stranger. He was human. His name was Ethan, a traveler from the distant stars. He had come to learn about this alien world, but now his eyes were fixed on Kale. While the crowd laughed, Ethan did not. Instead, he saw something no one else noticed. He saw the way Kale had refused to give up until his last breath. He saw the spark of pain, but also the fire of courage in Kale's eyes. Ethan frowned as the aliens turned away, leaving the boy alone on the ground. That night, when the square was empty and quiet, Ethan found Kale sitting alone near the edge of the city. The boy's shoulders shook. He tried to hide his tears, but his voice broke. "They will never stop. No matter what I do, I will never be strong." Ethan sat beside him. His voice was calm. "Maybe strength is not what they think it is. Maybe strength is something else. Something deeper." Kyle turned to him confused. No one had ever spoken to him kindly before. No one had ever said he could be more than a joke. The next day, the crowd once again mocked Kale. But this time, he did not feel completely alone. Somewhere in the shadows, Ethan was watching. The human did not laugh. He did not walk away, and that small truth gave Kale a strange feeling in his chest. A warmth he had never known. Hope. The colony was blind, too busy praising their warriors to see the value of the weak one. But Ethan could see what they could not. He did not see a failure. He saw a story waiting to begin, but beyond the horizon, something else stirred. Strange shadows moved in the sky, far from the city. The alien colony had enemies, distant, merciless, and hungry. None of the proud warriors knew they were coming. None of them imagined that the one they mocked, the weakest among them, would one day hold the key to their survival. For now, Kyle was still the outcast. But his story was only beginning. The red sky of the alien world stretched wide, painted with the glow of the twin suns. Kale sat near the outer walls of the city, his knees pulled close to his chest. His eyes stared at the dust on the ground. Every sound from the streets behind him carried laughter, but he knew that laughter was never for him. It was always against him. His body still ached from the fall at the Tower of Trial. The bruises would heal, but the words, pathetic, useless, weakling, echoed louder than the pain in his bones. Kale closed his eyes, wishing the world would forget him, but then a shadow fell across him. "You're sitting here again," said a voice. Kyle looked up. It was Ethan, the human traveler. The only one who had not laughed yesterday. The only one who had not turned away. "Why do you care?" Kyle asked softly. His voice cracked. "You should leave me too. Everyone else does." Ethan smiled, though his eyes were serious. "I care," he said, "because I see something in you they don't." You're not weak, Kyle. You just don't know your strength yet. Kyle shook his head. Strength, look at me. I cannot fight. I cannot climb. I cannot even carry water without falling. What strength could I possibly have? Ethan leaned closer. The strength to endure. I watched you yesterday. You kept trying even when the whole world laughed at you. That takes more courage than their climbing ever will. Cale blinked, confused. No one had ever spoken to him like this. The words felt strange in his ears, but they warmed his heart. Still, doubt pressed on him. What does courage matter if I can't change anything? Ethan placed a hand on Kyle's shoulder. Courage is the beginning of change. Sometimes one small spark is enough to light a fire. That night, under the quiet glow of the moons, Ethan returned with something hidden under his coat. He revealed it, a small human tool, a device that projected light and shapes into the air. Cale's eyes widened as glowing patterns filled the darkness. Stars, galaxies, ships flying between them. It was as if the night itself had opened. This, Ethan explained, is a training device. Not for strength of muscle, but for strength of focus, strength of mind. I want you to try, Cale hesitated. Me? Why me? Because you're the one who needs it most, Ethan said firmly. And because I believe you can. The lesson began. The device projected moving lights, small orbs darting like sparks through the air. Ethan told Cale to touch them before they disappeared. At first, Cale missed every single one. His hands were slow, his eyes tired. The glowing sparks vanished before his fingers could reach them. He grew frustrated. I can't. I told you I'm no good, but Ethan did not scold him. He only said, try again. Cale tried again. And again. And again. His hands shook, but after many attempts, he touched one of the sparks. The light blinked under his finger. His eyes widened. I did it, Ethan smiled. Yes, you did. For the first time in his life, Cale felt something strange. Success. Small but real, his chest filled with warmth. It was only one spark, but it was his. The next night he tried again. And this time he touched 2 sparks, then 3. His movements grew sharper, his focus clearer. Ethan nodded with quiet pride. The boy who had failed. Every trial of strength was beginning. To succeed in something no one had ever offered. Him a chance to grow in a different way, but not everyone ignored what was happening. From the shadows, other aliens watched. They whispered among themselves. The human wastes his time. Why would he train the weakest of us? Perhaps he pities him. Rumors spread through the colony. The elders shook their heads. The human does not understand. That child is hopeless. He is a shadow with no future. Yet Ethan did not stop, and Cale did not give up. One evening, when the training ended, Cale looked at Ethan with wide eyes. Why are you doing this for me? He asked. Ethan's face turned serious. Because I have seen too many like you before. Too many voices silenced. Too many lights snuffed out because no one believed in them. I will not let that happen to you, Cale. The boy's throat tightened. No one had ever spoken those words to him. No one had ever believed. And then, it happened. During training, as Cale reached for a spark, the device flickered strangely. The light bent around his hand, bending further than it should have. The orb did not vanish. Instead, it glowed brighter. Ethan's eyes widened. Did you see that? Cale pulled his hand back. What was that? I didn't mean to— No, Ethan said, shaking his head. It wasn't a mistake. It was you. Cale froze. His heart raced. For the first time, he felt something stir inside him, a faint power hidden deep that even he had never known. The human's voice was low, full of awe. You're not weak, Cale, you're different. And different can change everything. Kyle's hands trembled as he stared at the glowing spark still hanging in the air. The boy the world mocked had just revealed a secret no one else could see. The city of crystal towers shined under the twin suns. But in the dark corners, far from the eyes of the colony, something unusual was happening. Every night, when most of the aliens rested, Cale and Ethan met in secret. The human carried his strange training device, and the weak alien boy stood ready. No one else knew. No one else would believe. Kyle's heart beat fast each time. He feared being caught, for the elders had warned him many times. You are not to waste the time of others. You bring only shame. Yet when Ethan looked at him with calm eyes, Cale felt braver. The training grew harder. At first, Cale only touched sparks of light, but now Ethan made the lights move faster. splitting into dozens of glowing orbs. They spun, darted, and disappeared like stars in a storm. Kale's hands shot out again and again, chasing them. He missed more than he caught. Sweat rolled down his forehead. His arms trembled. His chest ached, but he did not stop. Focus, Ethan said gently. Don't see them all. See only the one that matters. Kale tried again. His hands blurred in the air. Then, he touched 3 sparks in a row. The boy gasped. I did it! Ethan smiled. You're learning. Faster than even I hoped. But the training was not just about lights. Ethan taught Kale how to breathe when panic came, how to steady his heart when fear tried to break him. He showed him how to move quietly, how to listen to the world, the rustle of leaves, the hum of energy, the footsteps of those nearby. At first, Kyle thought these lessons were useless. Why does this matter? He asked. Ethan answered, because strength is not only in muscles. Real strength is knowing when to fight, when to hide, and when to endure. The proud never learn this. But you can, Kale nodded slowly. For the first time in his life, he began to feel capable. Still, whispers followed him during the day. The other aliens laughed louder whenever they saw him. Why is the human always near the weakling? Perhaps the human has gone blind. One evening, when Kyle returned from training, a group of young warriors blocked his path. Their tall bodies cast long shadows over him. Stay away from the human, one of them growled. He belongs with us, not with trash like you. Kale trembled. His voice was small. He chooses to speak with me. The warriors sneered. Then maybe you should learn your place. They shoved him to the ground. His knees scraped against the stone. The group laughed and walked away, proud of their cruelty. Kyle lay there, his body aching. For a moment, old feelings returned, the same despair, the same voice that whispered useless. But then he remembered Ethan's words. Courage is the beginning of change. He pushed himself up, wiped the blood from his knees, and walked on. That night, Kale trained harder than ever. His movements grew sharp. His eyes locked onto the sparks with new fire. Ethan noticed. You're angry, Ethan said. Yes, Kale admitted. They will never stop. No matter what I do, they will mock me. Ethan's voice was calm. Then let their words become fuel. Prove them wrong, not with hate, but with strength they cannot see. Kyle breathed deep. He focused on the sparks. His hand shot out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each spark blinked out under his touch. His anger had turned into focus. His weakness into speed. Days passed. Nights turned into weeks. The secret training shaped Kale slowly like a river cutting through stone. He grew faster, quieter, more aware. And sometimes when his emotions burned strong, the strange thing happened again. The lights bent toward him, glowing brighter as if drawn to his hands. Ethan studied this with fascination. You have a gift, Kale. Not even your people know of it. Perhaps not even you fully understand it. Kale shook his head. But if they saw it, they would still laugh. Ethan's eyes hardened. Then we won't let them see. Not yet. Power is safest when hidden. One day when the time is right, you will show them, and they will regret every cruel word. But far beyond the colony walls, danger was moving. On the horizon, in the silent blackness of space, ships drifted closer. They belonged to the enemy, a rival species who had long watched this world. Hungry for conquest, thirsty for control. They studied the colony, and their leader spoke. These aliens think themselves strong, but their strength will break easily. They do not know the storm that is coming. The fleet continued its slow approach, unseen by the colony below. Back in the city, Kale sat on the rooftop beside Ethan. The night was cool, the stars sharp in the sky. Do you think I will ever be like them? Kale asked quietly. Strong, respected, someone who belongs? Ethan looked at him for a long moment. Then he said, no, you will never be like them. You will be something greater. Kale turned to him, eyes wide. Greater? Yes, Ethan said firmly. Because when the moment comes, Kale, you will not just prove yourself. You will change everything. Kale's heart raced at those words. He did not fully understand. But deep inside he felt the spark again, the hidden power waiting to rise. And though he did not know it yet, the storm of war would soon arrive. And the world that mocked him would learn the truth. The morning began like any other. The colony's tall crystal towers glowed under the twin suns. The warriors trained in the square, showing their strength. The elders watched proudly, Speaking of their greatness, no one noticed the shadows above. No one saw the danger drawing near. High in the skies, beyond the clouds, black shapes moved silently. Enemy ships, dark, sharp, and filled with soldiers. For weeks they had circled this world, studying, waiting. Now their time had come. Cale stood at the edge of the city, his eyes on the horizon. He felt uneasy, though he could not explain why. The wind carried a strange hum, as if the air itself was warning him. Ethan joined him. "You sense it too, don't you?" Cale nodded slowly. "Something is coming." Before they could speak more, a sharp sound cut across the sky. The colony turned upward. The clouds split open as enemy ships broke through, black shadows against the red sun. Alarms rang. The warriors shouted, rushing for their weapons. The proud aliens raised their voices, swearing they would crush the intruders. But Cale's heart pounded. The ships were too many. Their power was far greater than the colony knew. The first strike came like thunder. Beams of light shot from the enemy ships, slamming into the crystal towers. Explosions ripped through the streets. The proud aliens who had been laughing only moments ago now screamed in fear. Ethan grabbed Cale's arm. "Stay low. We need to move." The two ran through the chaos as buildings collapsed around them. Dust filled the air. Families cried out, searching for safety. The warriors fought back, but the enemy soldiers were faster, stronger, and armed with advanced weapons. The proud colony that had always believed itself unbeatable was falling apart. Cale and Ethan ducked into an alley. Cale's chest heaved as he looked out at the burning city. They are destroying everything. What do we do?" Ethan's face was grim. "We survive. And when the time comes, you will do more than that." Cale shook his head in panic. "Me, I can't fight them." "Look at me." Ethan knelt, holding his shoulders. "Cale, listen to me. This is why we trained. This is why I stayed. You are not weak. You have something they don't understand. You must trust it." Kyle's hands trembled. He wanted to believe, but as another explosion shook the ground, his courage wavered. The battle raged on. Enemy soldiers poured into the streets, armored and merciless. The colony's warriors charged at them with loud cries, but their strength was useless against advanced weapons. Blasts of energy struck them down. Cale and Ethan slipped through the ruins, trying to stay hidden. But everywhere they turned, destruction followed. At one point, they came across a group of children trapped under fallen stones. Cale's eyes widened. "We have to help them." He rushed forward, his weak arms struggling to move the heavy debris. The stones barely shifted. Tears filled his eyes. "I can't." "I'm not strong enough." Ethan placed his hand on Cale's. "Don't use strength. Use focus. Remember the spark." Cale closed his eyes, breathing as Ethan had taught him. His trembling hands pressed against the stone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the strange glow appeared again, faint but real. The stone cracked, shifting just enough for the children to crawl free. They stared at Kyle with wide eyes. "You saved us," one whispered. Cale gasped, stunned. Ethan nodded firmly. "See? You are not powerless." But the moment of relief ended quickly. A shadow loomed over them. Enemy soldiers turned the corner, their weapons aimed. Ethan pushed Cale behind him. "Run!" he shouted. Cale froze. His heart thundered. The soldiers advanced. Ethan stood tall, defiant even without weapons. But there were too many, and then Cale remembered the spark, the strange energy inside him. His fear twisted into focus. His hands rose. The air shimmered. A sudden wave of light pulsed out from him, striking the enemy weapons. Sparks flew. Their guns shut down, useless. The soldiers staggered back, confused. Ethan's eyes widened in shock. "Kyle, you did that." Cale's body shook. He had no idea how. But it was real. His hidden power had just saved them. Still, the danger was not over. The enemy regrouped, drawing blades when their weapons failed. Ethan pulled Cale away. "Not yet. You can't face them all. We have to stay alive." They fled deeper into the burning city, smoke and screams all around them. Behind them, the colony's warriors continued their hopeless fight. For the first time in their history, they realized strength alone was not enough. Their pride could not stop this enemy. But the boy they had mocked, the one they had cast aside, he had done something no warrior could. He had disrupted the enemy's power. As night fell, the city lay in ruins. Fires burned in the streets. Families hid in fear. The once proud colony was on its knees. In the shadows of the broken towers, Ethan turned to Cale. This is only the beginning. They will come for you now, because what you carry inside you is the one thing they cannot control. Cale's breath shook. But I don't even understand it. You will, Ethan said. And when you do, you won't just save yourself. You'll save them all. Kyle stared at the burning horizon, his heart heavy. The colony that hated him now faced a war it could not win, and the secret inside him, the spark he barely understood, might be their only hope. The colony was broken. The once bright crystal towers were cracked and smoking. Families hid in shattered houses. Warriors lay defeated, their weapons useless against the invaders' strength. The enemy soldiers marched through the ruins like hunters among prey. Their dark armor glowed with cold light, their voices sharp and cruel. And in the shadows of the city, Cale trembled. He and Ethan hid among the fallen stones of a ruined hall. The human's hand pressed against the boy's shoulder. They know now, Ethan whispered. They saw what you did. You made their weapons fail. That means they'll come for you. Cale's chest tightened. Why me? I didn't mean to, it just happened. Ethan looked at him, his face calm but firm. It wasn't an accident. It's inside you. A power your people never noticed because they never bothered to look. Cale lowered his head. But if I am their only hope, then we are already lost. I can't even control it. Ethan's eyes softened. That's why we keep training, even here, even now. You don't need to master it in one day. You just need to learn to trust yourself. Outside, enemy patrols searched every street. Their voices echoed. Find the weakling. He is the key. Kyle's heart froze at those words. For so long he had been mocked as worthless. Now the enemy, the most feared warriors in the stars, called him the key. That night, when the patrols passed, Ethan guided Cale into the ruins of an old training ground. The crystal walls were shattered, but the space was open. Try again, Ethan urged. Kyle hesitated. He raised his trembling hands. He thought of the sparks, the moments during secret training when the lights bent toward him. He focused on that memory. The air shimmered faintly. A soft glow appeared around his fingers. Then it grew brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. Cale gasped. The glow spread, forming a small wave of light. It rolled outward, touching broken metal near the ground. The metal sparked and then shut down completely. Ethan's eyes lit with awe. Do you see? Your power is not strength of body. It's something deeper. You can touch energy itself. You can silence it. Cale stared at his hands. I can stop their weapons. Yes, Ethan said firmly. And that means you can fight them in a way no one else can. But using the power came at a cost. Cale's knees buckled. His breath grew heavy. The glow faded, leaving him exhausted. He fell to the ground. I can't, he whispered. It takes everything from me. Ethan knelt beside him. Then we will find balance. You don't need to use it for long, only at the right moment. Control will come with time. Kyle closed his eyes, trying to believe. The next day, the enemy made their move. They dragged the colony's elders into the square. The once proud leaders now stood in chains, their voices trembling. The enemy commander, a tall figure in black armor, spoke loud so all could hear. Your strength has failed. Your warriors are broken. Surrender your world or we will burn it all. The crowd wept. No one dared to resist. Cale and Ethan watched from the shadows. Cale's hands shook. I can't face him. Look at them. They're all stronger than me. Ethan's voice was sharp but kind. Stronger in muscle, yes, but not stronger where it matters. They can break stone, but you can break their weapons. And weapons win wars. Kyle swallowed hard. His heart pounded. He wanted to run, but then his eyes fell on the children he had saved before. They huddled in fear behind their parents, their small faces pale. Something changed inside him. The fear was still there, but so was the spark. That night, Kyle returned to the ruins to train again. He pushed himself until sweat dripped down his face. Again and again he tried to call the light. Sometimes it came as a glow. Sometimes it flickered weakly. Once it burst so strong it cracked a wall. Each time Ethan encouraged him. Good, better, again. And slowly Kyle learned. The glow no longer scared him. The drain of energy still left him weak, but his focus grew sharper. He was no longer stumbling in the dark. He was learning to control the fire within, but the enemy did not stop. One night, patrols stormed the outer streets. Cale and Ethan barely escaped into the hills beyond the city. From there, they looked down at the smoking ruins. Cale's chest ached as he saw his people suffering. The same people who had mocked him, who had cast him aside. He should have felt nothing for them. But he did. I don't understand, Cale whispered. Why do I care? They never cared for me. Ethan looked at him. Because strength is not only what you do for yourself. Real strength is what you do for others, even when they don't deserve it. Kyle's eyes burned with tears. He clenched his fists. For the first time, he whispered words he had never dared before. I don't want to run anymore. In the distance, the enemy commander raised his voice again. Bring me the weak one. The boy who breaks our weapons. Bring me Kyle. The whole colony froze. Fear spread like fire. Kyle's heart raced. He knew the truth now. The enemy saw him not as weak, but as dangerous. And though he was afraid, a small spark burned in his chest. A spark that whispered, maybe I am more than they ever believed. The colony was silent under the red night sky. Fire still burned in the streets. The enemy soldiers patrolled every corner, their black armor glowing with sharp blue light. Families hid in fear. Warriors who once walked proudly now lowered their heads. The enemy commander's order had spread across the city like a shadow. Find the boy. Find Cale. Cale crouched with Ethan inside the ruins of a broken tower. His heart raced. His name was now on every enemy tongue. I don't understand, Cale whispered. Why would they fear me? I'm no warrior. Ethan looked at him firmly. Because they saw what I saw, the spark inside you. They know you can do what no one else can. That makes you the greatest threat to them. Cale shook his head. But I can't control it. If they come for me, I will only fail. Ethan placed a hand on his shoulder. His voice was calm, steady, and full of belief. You won't be alone. I will stand with you. Moments later, footsteps thundered through the ruins. The enemy had found them. Run, Ethan hissed. He pulled Cale toward a hidden passage between the fallen walls. But the soldiers were faster. Blades of light cut through the air, blocking their escape. Cale froze, trembling. Ethan stepped forward, placing himself between the soldiers and the boy. The commander appeared, tall and cruel, his armor glowing brighter than the rest. His voice was sharp as steel. There he is, the weakling who bends energy. Hand him over, human. Spare yourself the pain. Ethan's jaw tightened. You want him? You'll have to go through me first. The soldiers laughed. A single unarmed human against their blades seemed foolish. But Ethan did not move. He stood tall, his eyes fixed on the commander. Cale's heart ached. Ethan. Don't, you'll die. Ethan glanced back, and for the first time Cale saw a smile. Not of pride, but of quiet acceptance. Listen to me, Cale. All my life I've believed that one person can make a difference. That belief brought me here to you, and now you must believe it too. Cale's throat tightened. Tears filled his eyes. No, I can't lose you. But Ethan turned back to the enemy. If my life is the price, then I'll pay it. Because he is worth it. The battle began. The soldiers charged. Ethan moved with speed Cale had never seen before. He ducked, blocked, and struck with his fists. He grabbed fallen weapons from the ground, fighting with raw determination. Every strike was desperate, but every strike was brave. Cale watched in horror as Ethan faced enemies far stronger than him. Sparks of energy flashed, blades clashed against stone. Ethan's body staggered under each blow, but he refused to fall. Go! Ethan shouted over the chaos. Run, Cale, live! But Cale's legs would not move. His heart screamed against the command. The commander stepped forward, lifting his glowing blade. He swung hard, and Ethan barely blocked it. The clash sent him crashing against the wall. Blood ran down his arm. Still, Ethan stood again. His eyes burned with fire. He spat dust from his mouth and raised the broken weapon in his hand. Cale's tears fell. Stop, please stop! But the soldiers only laughed. They circled closer, blades raised. Ethan's chest heaved, his strength fading. Yet his voice remained steady. Cale, listen, you have to stand now. If you don't, all of this, my fight, your training, it will mean nothing. Cale shook with fear. His power was unstable. Every time he used it, it left him weak. If he failed now, Ethan would die for nothing. But then Cale remembered the nights of training. The sparks of light. The words Ethan had told him again and again. Courage is the beginning of change. Cale's fear burned into determination. His trembling stopped. His breath slowed. He stepped forward. The soldiers turned to him. The commander sneered. The weakling finally shows himself. But Cale no longer looked weak. His eyes glowed faintly, the spark awakening. He raised his hands. The air shimmered. A wave of light burst out, rolling across the ruins. The enemy weapons sparked and died in their hands. Their blades turned cold, their guns useless. The soldiers staggered in shock. Kale's voice rang out stronger than ever before. You call me weak, but you will not control me. The glow around him grew brighter, pushing the soldiers back. The ground itself hummed with power, but the effort drained him. Kale fell to his knees, gasping for air. The glow flickered. He was at his limit. The commander roared in fury. He raised his blade high, charging at Kale to finish him. And in that moment, Ethan moved. With the last of his strength, Ethan threw himself between Kale and the commander. The glowing blade pierced his side. Ethan gasped, blood staining his shirt, but his arms locked around the weapon. You will not touch him, Ethan growled. The commander ripped the blade free, shoving Ethan aside. The human collapsed, his body broken. Kale screamed. His chest felt as if it would shatter. Ethan looked up at him one last time. His voice was weak, but his eyes shined with pride. Stand, Kale. Show them who you are. Then his body went still. The world blurred through Kale's tears. His heart broke, but in the heart of that pain, something else ignited. The spark inside him roared like fire. The glow around him flared brighter than ever before. The ruins shook. The soldiers stumbled back in fear. Even the commander's eyes widened. Kyle rose, trembling but unbroken. His voice was low, filled with grief and fury. You took the only one who believed in me. Now you will see the truth. The hidden power within him was no longer faint. It was awake, and the boy who had been mocked as weak was ready to rise. The ruins burned under the twin suns. The enemy soldiers circled, their dark armor glowing in the flames. The colony hid in silence, afraid to breathe, afraid to hope. And in the center of the broken square stood Kyle. His small body trembled. His eyes were filled with tears. At his side lay Ethan, the human who had believed in him, who had given his life to protect him. For a moment, Kyle felt nothing but grief. His chest ached as if it would tear apart. But then the spark inside him roared awake. It burned hotter than ever, filling his veins with light. The boy everyone mocked was no longer the same. The enemy commander raised his blade again, stepping forward. His voice thundered through the smoke. You are nothing. Weakness dressed in light. I will crush you and your people will fall. But Kale did not step back. His tears dried on his cheeks. He lifted his head and his voice rang clear. I am not nothing. I am Kale, and I am not alone. The glow around him burst outward, filling the ruins with blinding light. The ground trembled as if the world itself answered his call. The soldiers charged. Blades of energy swung at him. Kale lifted his hands and their weapons went dark. Sparks flew as their blades broke in their grip. Their guns sputtered and fell silent. The enemy stumbled back in shock. They had never seen power like this, not from a child, not from one called weak. Kale's chest heaved, but his eyes burned with fire. He stepped forward, each step filled with the courage Ethan had given him. From the shadows, the colony watched. The proud warriors, the elders, the families, they all stared in disbelief. Is that Kyle? Someone whispered. The weakling? Another gasped. But the truth was clear before their eyes. The boy they had mocked was standing against an army. Alone, yet unbroken. For the first time, silence replaced their laughter. For the first time, they saw him not as a burden, but as hope. The commander roared and attacked. His blade cut through the air, glowing with deadly force. Kale met him with trembling hands. The light around Kale surged, clashing against the blade. The commander pressed forward, confident in his strength. But Kale did not falter. He thought of Ethan's voice, of every word that had carried him through the darkness. Courage is the beginning of change, Kale shouted, and the glow exploded from his body. The commander's blade shattered like glass. The shockwave hurled him backward, crashing into the ruins. The soldiers froze. Their leader had fallen. Kale stood in the center of the fire-lit square, his body shaking but his spirit unbroken. His glow dimmed slightly, but it was enough. The enemy soldiers, leaderless and afraid, began to retreat. They pulled back toward their ships, shouting in confusion. The fleet that had once hovered like a shadow over the colony now turned away, fleeing into the skies. The colony had been spared, not by their warriors, not by their elders, but by the boy they had cast aside. Kale collapsed to his knees, exhausted. The glow faded, leaving him weak and trembling. He turned his head, his eyes falling on Ethan's still body. His chest tightened. His voice broke. You were right. You believed in me when no one else did, and now you are gone. Tears slid down his face. But then he remembered Ethan's final words. Stand, Cale. Show them who you are. Cale wiped his eyes and stood again, though every bone in his body ached. The colony slowly approached. The elders, once proud and cold, now lowered their heads. The warriors who had laughed now stood in silence, ashamed. One of them whispered, We were wrong about you. Cale's voice was quiet but firm. I never needed your approval. I only needed one person to believe in me. And he did. The crowd lowered their eyes. They had mocked him, rejected him, and called him worthless. Yet he had saved them all. Days later, when the fires were put out and the city began to rebuild, Cale often walked alone. The children he had saved ran to him, their eyes shining with admiration. Families thanked him. Warriors nodded in respect, but Cale did not smile. His heart still carried the weight of Ethan's loss. At night, he returned to the ruins where Ethan had fallen. He sat quietly, looking at the stars. I will keep your promise, he whispered. I will not waste the gift you gave me. And as he spoke, the spark inside him flickered softly as if answering his vow. The colony would never forget the boy who rose from weakness. They would tell stories of the human who believed in him, and of how that belief had changed their world. Cale was no longer the outcast. He was no longer the weak one. He was the spark that turned despair into hope. And though he was young, though his journey was only beginning, one truth was clear. Sometimes strength is not found in muscle or power. Sometimes strength begins with one fragile heart, one hidden spark, and one person who dares to believe.